First of all, I want to say to you, Mrs. Orr, no one in the world should have to be famous for the way and the reason that you and your family and Avinatan and Noah and all the families of the 251 have had to become famous around the world. But I want you to know that on October 11th at the EU Parliament, because of someone in this room, on the 11th, we were advocating for your son. Because of another person in this room, 10 days after that, there were thousands of us in Geneva advocating for your son and for all of them. I personally put a poster of your son in my town in Washington, D.C. on a light post. And while no one should have to be famous for the reason that you all are famous, I want you to know that you and all the families were an unbelievable testament of this country and of Jewish values under the most impossible situations that anyone can imagine. And you are heroes to all of us. Now I'll begin with my remarks. It's very simple. My name is Johnnie Moore, and I am a Christian Zionist. And it's an incredible honor to be back in this city. It always is, and especially at this moment and with all of you. I'm going to take a few minutes tonight, though, and talk to us about us, because this is what this moment demands. You know, last Shabbat, just a few days ago, Jews around the world read the weekly Torah portion called Lech Lecha, go forth. God tells Abraham to leave everything you know, everyone you trust, every comfort you possess, and go to a land and I will show it to you. And Abraham went. He had no GPS, he had no guarantee, there was no backup plan, just faith alone and the audacity to believe that God's promises are stronger than anything in this world. As Rabbi Sachs reminds us, has written, Abraham represented influence without power. He led no empire. He had no army. He performed no miracles. He didn't even give any prophecy. And yet he changed the world because he was prepared to be different. But Lech Lecha is not just Abraham's story. It's not just Israel's story to go forth. It's our story as Christian friends of the Jewish people. It's a story of every Christian who's decided that silence in the face of evil is never an option. And whether we're speaking of the Christians in Nigeria or the Muslims in China or in the testimonies chronicled as the righteous among the nations at Yad Vashem or in the testimonies of all of you who have risen to the occasion since October 7th. It's the story of every believer who understands that Genesis chapter 12, verse 3 is not poetry. It is a promise, and it is also a warning. Going forth means leaving the comfort of the consensus to embrace truth. It means standing with Israel even if you feel alone. It means when the UN votes 150-2, you make sure your country is there. When your comment section explodes online, when friends you thought you could trust betray you, when the mob chases you all the way to your house. It means calling evil by its name when the world calls it context. It means when we say never again that we actually mean it, even if it cost us something. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here tonight to tell you that these aren't mere platitudes. And even after this war has entered this phase and we're seeing it all come to an end. Because anti-Semitism is surging. From the left, we recognize it. It wears masks of social justice. It calls terrorism resistance. It calls anti-Semitism liberation. It has infected our universities. It has poisoned our media. And it wants to brainwash not our children, your children. But sadly, it's rising on the right too. But they wrap their anti-Semitism in our American flag, and they can't have it. They're conspiracy theorists blaming Jews for everything, so-called Christians who've forgotten that our Savior was Jewish, is Jewish. Our Bible is Jewish. Our faith is grafted in a Jewish root. The oldest hatred is wearing new masks for sure on every side, but we see it here for what it is, and it will lose. That's right. The question for us, though, is how quickly it's going to lose. Will you do your part? Will we speak the truth? Or will we chase clicks, letting an entire generation drown in lies? And by the way, evangelicals are not going to be lectured by anyone on what MAGA is or isn't, and especially not from these anti-Semites come lately. In my own case, in 2011, I was a young campus pastor at Liberty University, and I cold called the Trump, I literally called the 1-800 number on the bottom of the website, and Donald Trump himself called me back within an hour, accepting our invitation to speak for the first time to a large evangelical audience. That was 2011. Recently, we were having dinner with the president in the White House, a number of us, evangelicals, and late one night after a long day in a private dining room at the White House. And do you know what he said? After dinner, we're all just literally standing around the table. He was about to give us a tour of the Lincoln bedroom. He's going to take us upstairs to the residence, which he's technically not supposed to do, but he's the president of the United States. He can do whatever he wants. You know what he called us, his evangelical friends? He called us, quote, the originals. It's what the kids call the OGs, okay? We were there first. And the president that helped extinguish Iran's ring of fire and free the hostages and will bring peace to this entire region knows above anyone else who his friends actually are. The president, in fact, is the only one that defines the movement he founded. And just 2 days ago at the Republican Jewish Coalition, he was clear as a bell when he celebrated the fact that he is the most pro-Israel president in American history. Because if you want to know what MAGA means to the president, that's what it means. When everyone said the embassy couldn't be moved to Jerusalem, President Trump said, "Watch me." When the foreign policy establishment said that peace was impossible in this region, he delivered the Abraham Accords, and he will expand it. And when Iran menaced the region, he responded with clarity and strength. And as we stand here in this room this evening, Iran's nuclear facilities have been obliterated and its terrorist regime humiliated. You know, when I want to teach my children about Winston Churchill in the 21st century, I just give them the example of the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel over the last 6 months, as these two countries raised to the occasion with moral clarity and decisive action and courage over consensus, and one word, leadership. And that's why Israel's enemies are on their hills, and that's why Israel's friends sleep better at night, while our collective enemies fear closing their eyes. But we, the Christian Zionists, evangelicals mainly, are an antidote to anti-Semitism. But this is our all-hands-on-deck moment. When the world tells us to quiet down about Israel or our Jewish neighbors, we must shout louder, as we did when October 7th happened, and the equivocators already started their gymnastics. We spoke, we did it immediately, we did it unequivocally, we did it unapologetically, we've done it every day since, and we must keep speaking, because that's what it looks like when we do our part. And I'll tell you what it also looks like when we do our part. It looks like the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. Yael Eckstein is the best leader I know in the entire world. And for 40 years, this incredible organization has allowed us to bless Israel, to fulfill Genesis chapter 12, verse 3. You know, before October 7th, a group of Christians donated an armored vehicle to the head of security in the Eshkol region near Gaza. And on the morning of October 7th, Keith He didn't run to safety. He jumped in that vehicle provided by Christians as two terrorist groups opened fire on him. And that Christian-funded armor not only saved his life, but it saved the lives of many others. You know, when Hezbollah murdered those 12 children on a soccer field in the Druze village of Majdal Shams, the first ambulance on the scene was donated by Christians from IFCJ, driven by a Druze paramedic who serves both Arab and Jewish communities, because that's what love looks like. When the war broke out in Ukraine, and all of us had to figure out what to do, IFCJ helped over 6,000 Jews make it safely to Israel. I met some of them on the tarmac in Tel Aviv. It evacuated Holocaust survivors on medical rescue flights. It rescued 1,600 children from orphanages and airlifted 95 tons of aid. In 2016 in France, a precursor to what we've seen in recent years, a Jew named Benjamin in Marseille was confronted for being Jewish on the streets. A man went after him with a machete. All he had was a leather-bound Torah. Remarkably, he raised the Torah. The knife hit the Torah. It saved his life. But he decided it was time to make his life for his children in Israel. And he's here because of the generosity of Christians and this amazing organization. Provided health care in Nazareth, helped the Christians of Syria, all in recent months. But you know what? Whether it's speaking up for your family or fighting anti-Semitism in this country or all over the world, everywhere it raises its head, none of it is enough. We must do more now. This is the all-hands-on-deck moment. We have to tell the truth about Israel every chance we can, unapologetically. The miracle of her rebirth, the righteousness of her cause, the biblical mandate that we have to stand with the Jewish people in Israel and everywhere else. And we never hedge, not once. We never equivocate. We stand firm and we speak the truth. And when the mob comes, we don't blink. And when it costs you something, you pay the price. And then you make sure the anti-Semites pay their own price too. Second, we expose every lie, because this world is filled with lies and we love the truth. And we don't quite realize it now, but the last 2 years, we have endured the first world information war. That's what historians will call it, the first world information war. And when these radicals call for genocide, or the UN's moral bankruptcy is on grand display, because I can tell you from personal experience, it's not just that the UN is incompetent half the time, it is that they have become the engine of anti-Semitism, white-collar anti-Semitism all over the world, and they're using our taxpayer dollars to do it. Enough is enough, because we name evil when we see it. And then we got to educate the next generation. We got to model courage. We got to train a new generation of leaders. That's why I'm proud to be a part of Pepperdine University, where with all these like crazy Middle East studies programs in the United States, Pepperdine did something unbelievable. They started a new one in Washington, D.C. with zero foreign funding, full scholarships for every student that gets in, that is accepted into the program. And the majority of the first cohort of students at our Christian university are Jewish, and I think that's incredible. Let me conclude. Abraham, he didn't know where he was going, but he knew who was sending him. We have it much better. We know both. We know where we're going. Toward an America, in my case, that leads from strength, not apology. Where our flag means something, where our word counts for something, where our values aren't for sale and we don't care what anyone thinks about it, where Israel will be secure, a Jewish student will be able to wear a kippah without fear on our streets, and where Jerusalem will remain the undivided capital of Israel. But we also know who sends us. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The God who keeps his promises. The God who told us that how we treat his people determines how we will be treated, how we will be remembered. Because Genesis 12:3, it isn't a suggestion, it's our theology, and we are proud of it. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. And you, ladies and gentlemen, you've been given platforms and audiences and influence The question is whether you will use them to their maximum effect at this critical moment in history, or whether you will be silent while the world curses. Will we do our part, or will we do what's much easier? Just stay out of the line of fire. And I can tell you, having been in the line of fire, it gets very, very serious. But God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a power and love and sound thinking. So are we going to be among our generation's righteous among the nations? Because it is one of those moments in history. And I'm here with all of you as peers to tell some of you that this country, our best, our most reliable, our most important ally in the entire world, that there are hundreds of millions of evangelicals in every corner of this planet, and we aren't going anywhere. We are proud Christians that will stand with you as proud Jews. We will tell the truth. We will expose lies. We will educate our children. We will refuse to retreat every single time, no matter how dark the darkness is and whether it comes from the right or the left. We're going to light our candles from here to Washington, from every broadcast and every podcast and every pulpit, and we're lighting it with the light that has guided this world since God said, "Let there be light," and it was. I believe that God will bless those who bless Israel, but we don't do it to be blessed. We do it because we believe the Bible, and we love you, and every good thing in our life comes from you. And this partnership, no force on earth is powerful enough to break it, and you can take that to the bank. And that's all I got to say.